Okay. Well, Joe, what time is it right now?
Showtime.
Oh, showtime. Showtime, everybody. If we want to focus on that because of the budget, I was peeing earlier, I was thinking about, I don't know a ton about the budget except that maybe we should jump right into it. I don't know a ton about it except that when budget time comes around, it's really important to vote for it so that we can pay our teachers and have school. But I don't know who puts it together. I don't know what we can do if we vote it down as far as what positive changes we can make. I'm kind of an ignoramus when it comes to that.
Yeah, we could display our ignorance.
Just put it all out there. Maybe squint into it a little bit.
And then maybe a bunch of people will chime in.
Yeah, please.
Like to correct our ignorance.
If you guys know anything about the school budget and how this all works.
We're going to preface this by saying you should probably just skip to the comments. That's where the useful information will be.
Yeah, anything we say in the next 10 minutes, no, not worth your time. So, welcome to the Daily Joe Show. We're kicking things off. Good morning, Mr. Joe.
Are we on?
It's been recording this whole time.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. We'll see how that plays out in the end.
All right, well, I guess...
You might need to speak up because of the ambient sound.
We're outside. Another experiment bound to expose another branch of our ignorance.
That's right. Like how to turn that down to the birds.
Yeah.
Just balance the audio. I don't know.
So we were going back and forth between what it's like to be a parent in Wilmantic and Wyndham, and a piece of that's going to be the schools. And so we thought, well, maybe we should just talk about the schools first. Is that where we are?
That's where we're at. That's the summary of the pre-show discussion.
I want to know, because you've already confessed that you don't really know. I want to know, what's your idea of how the school budget happens?
Nice. You got me there.
All right, but you only get about 30 seconds.
Okay, the school budget happens. We have the school board comes together and looks at all the different schools in our district and finds out where the money needs to go, and then asks for a specific budget from the town for that funding for what we need for the schools, and then the town goes out to the people to vote on it. That's my understanding. Whether it might be completely false, but that's my understanding of it.
Yeah, that's a good one. I should have a little bit more understanding. I used to be on a budget advisory for the Albany, New York school system.
Well, it's the capital.
But that was so long ago. Now I'm already forgetting. But I think you're basically right that they look at all the programs. They say, what do we need to do to improve the programs? And how much does it cost to pay for all the employees? That's got to be 75% of the budget. And usually medical goes up and puts pressure on the whole budget. Mm-hmm. And they say, well, to do everything we want to do, we probably need a double-digit increase. That's too much. What can we trim back? And I'm going to guess that's a big part of what the board does, is working with the superintendent, what we can squeeze.
Oh, and you know what? I said school board, but it's actually the Board of Ed, right? That would be doing that?
I mean, that's the same thing.
Is there a difference?
No, I think I would use the same.
Okay.
Board of Education.
Does each school not have its own board? Is that a thing?
Well, each school district has a Board of Education. Right?
Okay, so the same thing. Thank you for clearing that up. Joe's in the know, guys.
Well, not really.
I
mean, it's still kind of a giant, big black box. Like, some of the misinformation I'm going to share is that the budgets don't ever go down. School budgets don't go down. They can go flat, or they can go up. So even if the people in the town in their wisdom say we're spending too much and vote down the budget several times, contingency budget kicks in and says, well, you're going to get the budget you got last year.
Interesting. Does that turn into a situation where I worked in some nonprofits before, where when you're applying for grants, right, you never make the mistake of asking for less than you did before, because it's kind of like the floor has been set, and so you're always asking, hey, if we got that, we need at least that, and then we're finding other projects, which are good because the nonprofit builds on a mission to the community. But taking that model and way of asking for money, is that similar to how the Board of Ed operates too?
Yeah, it seems problematic to me that it's a ratchet. It can only go in one direction.
But so does inflation, generally.
Yeah, I mean, it has in our lifetime. The question is, do we ever cut? When you look at businesses, like Elon Musk came in and got rid of 80% of his workforce.
It's a lot of people.
I'm not advocating 80% reduction, but in businesses, trimming is a part of maintaining a healthy organization.
Yeah.
And that seems to be, by law, excluded from the school system.
Really?
So
by law?
I would imagine that creates sort of program bloat over time.
Interesting.
And, my sort of ignorant take on things is that we keep expanding our mission to do more and more things. We're a far cry from reading, writing, and arithmetic now. I mean, we're
right.
We're really talking about the whole socio-psychological development of children, and that's a much bigger mission. And so naturally, the cost of supporting all of that goes up and up.
Wow. Yeah, the schools have a big responsibility in that sense that society's put on them.
And I'm going to guess
almost some things that maybe, are you suggesting that should be taught at home?
Well, I think you hear that criticism. You say society has done that, but the voters, right? The voters vote for legislators that go to Hartford that create this context. So I have to believe that what we have in our public schools is, to some degree, reflective of what people thought was good. And I mean, I grew up with get a good education, and that'll be good for you for the rest of your life. So, the question for Willimantic and Windham is, how do you balance what we can afford as a relatively poor town? Right now, that budget is going to be about 70% of our tax bill.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a big one. Okay.
It's certainly way more than half.
I didn't realize that. That's
right.
That's interesting.
And the state matches our local tax dollars for the most part.
Okay. We really should have someone like Mary on here, or someone from the Board of Ed, or someone involved in the schools to give us some insight.
No. This is where we represent the typical kind of ignorance that's out there, and we're not any different.
If you know more than us, please comment about that. If you know less than us, welcome to the conversation. Here we go.
As I may have said, I don't know if we'll cut it out, but I'm going to say it again. If you're pressed for time, just skip this whole discussion. Go to the comments where the smart people are going to tell us what we said wrong.
That's right. Or the smart people might just stay the hell away from this. So, okay. No, really interesting. So, with that being said, then my next question is, the budget vote is coming up.
14th of May.
Where do we learn about it? How do we know what's in it? And then let's say we disagree vehemently and we want to vote it down. What kind of positive change actually comes from that? Because what I've always been told and what I've heard is, vote yes to support our schools. Vote yes to support our schools. Support our schools and vote yes. And it doesn't seem like there are other options.
Well, I think we can assume that if the budget were voted down and we had to go to a zero increase from year to year, that would effectively be significant cuts to programs, because there are mandatory costs and inflationary costs, particularly around medical and personnel, that kick in. And so
if you're not accounting for inflation, then
the first thing that you would hear from a downvote
do
is, we're going to cut football, or we're going to cut, sports programs, and that ends up being
or the arts.
Enough of a threat. The arts, all these other things, and then people vote for something that's probably half of what they rejected the first time. That pattern I've seen.
I mean, half's a pretty huge cut. Is that? Do you mean half of the increase, or half of the not half of the budget?
Increase. No, yeah. So I think that if my calculations are right, Wyndham's going to see they're going to get a budget that's about a 3.5% increase, maybe Willimantic's 5%, when you throw in the town and the school budget and card tax. So inflation, regardless of the CPI, which is a garbage number in my opinion, you buy lumber, food, any of these, like housing, all that stuff, we've probably been looking at 15 to 20% inflation for the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And so when you get a school and town budget that's at that 3 to 5% range, that's a tight belt. So people were like, we're probably holding the line and putting off things, even with this budget. If people were to say no to that, that now you're saying, okay, well, now I need to cut 2 to 3%.
Yeah.
So where does that 2 to 3% come from? In a what is that? In a $10 million budget, 3% is $300,000, right? And so we have maybe 5 times that. So you're talking,
that's like
a couple
5
mil,
jobs. Yeah.
couple mil that you'd have to cut. So
or more.
You'd probably look at any retirement not filling them, and you do that sort of thing.
Interesting.
If you had to go all the way down to zero and go 3 to 5%.
And Joe, where's somewhere that people can go, or I can go to, I guess, get the highlights of the budget to see, like, as an informed voter, to know what I'm voting on.
Yeah, I haven't looked for that for the school side. So I would start with the town website, and then if there's I'm sure there's a Wyndham, the Wyndham school website. Maybe there's some place that has that information, but I don't know. I've never looked for the.
We probably should have researched that before this episode. Of course, we didn't know we were going to talk about this till just now. But okay, yeah, those are good places to start.
Yeah.
School website, town website. Does the Board of Ed have a website?
I don't know.
Might be on the town. We'll check it out. All right.
So what we do know, though, is having a good school to send your kids to is often what keeps people in town or makes them leave. And I got 2 kids in the school system.
And you got 2 kids, system. Yeah. And some of our friends just moved in over here, sold them their house.
But I can say there was a night and day experience between one middle school and the other. It's like, it was, the figurative, on the other side of the tracks. One school seems to be, shiny and up on a hill, and the other school, not so much.
Yeah.
And like, what's that?
It's funny though, because even that one up on the hill, it's good. It's good. I've been happy with how it's gone so far. But
well, the problem is they have middle school age kids, and they're all monsters.
No, but that's. I don't find that's the problem. I think this goes to school curriculum, is where my issue is, and just I feel like the teachers do as well as they can with what they're given. In general, this is my personal gripe. I think kids just sit too long every day. And I know, like, you know, that almost goes back to, well, it's the parents' responsibility to do the outside time and all that, but it's such a huge chunk of the day that they're at school. I remember running around a lot more as a kid at school with friends, and I think going to school, like learning the arithmetic's really important. I think it needs to be balanced with that social time and getting energy out so that they can focus when it's time to sit and learn the T's and the I's.
I agree too that, and again, that's a program load. Where they're trying to do too much, and they're taking away all that, you know, more free play time. That's coming down at a state level, and so there's so much inertia and momentum in that to undo that. You know, think of it like people that you'd have to elect, trying to get new representation through the education system. I mean, that's a multi-generational transition to get away from that. Will and ethics and Wyndham's not going to change the school district anytime soon.
So as far as the school budget, I think this is where I'm going to cut to. So as far as the school budget, voting it down, right, will just change some of the funding, but it's not actually going to change curriculum. It's not going to change.
Not significant.
It might change some extracurriculum activities. Could change staffing
a little bit.
Anything else?
Well, sports and art. I guess that's the extracurricular. Yeah.
That's interesting, because all those things are pretty good things, in my opinion. So that's tough. So if you want to change at the curriculum level, or, you know, we were just talking about, I don't know, to me personally, on my little soapbox, I think kids should have more playtime. I remember growing up, going to school, I feel like was a lot more outside social time than what our kids are getting now at their school. We got our energy out, we got to see our friends, make friends, get the social connection. I feel like especially now that outside of school those connections are lessened because of technology and how we have iPad kids and phones in everyone's faces now, whereas school you can, and actually not every school do this. I feel like it should personally be a rule, but just no phones in schools, to really focus on how those important connections. I mean, look, I don't even know how to talk because I've been on my phone too much. So thanks for being face to face with me here, Joe. You better not be watching this on a phone, by the way. I watch it on my phone.
Where does that leave us? We don't have much choice about the school system. Even if we vote it down, it's going to be pretty much what we have today. It takes up a huge portion of the tax bill.
And there's a couple complaints about it.
Yeah. I don't know where to go with this.
We got to go back to the basics. What's the strong town approach?
That's right. You know, so what's the simple thing to do? I don't know, this might get a little bit back to our previous episodes around parks. And, you know, if there were primarily volunteer organizations that created activities in each of these parks, you know, that could provide some of that outdoor time and that free time for kids, and know that, you know, they're not playing in the streets because the streets are too dangerous. They're not playing in school because there's program bloat. And we have these empty parks.
It's like there's a place where it could happen.
Yeah.
It's like,
somebody DM'd me after the last episodes with a laundry list of great ideas of things that could go in the park.
No way.
But the challenge is like, who?
Do you care to share that list, Joe?
Who's going to do it? I put it in our Google Doc.
Oh, you did?
So you can look at it.
Awesome.
And there's a lot of good ideas, but the key point is, like, who does it? Who organizes that? Where are the people? So one answer is, okay, you could double the budget of the rec department, which is already gone from, you know,
We have
1
that
or
new
2%
center.
to
Yeah.
10%
Right.
with the community center. So
Which I've been using Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
That's great.
It's amazing. Thank you so much, town.
And based on what I saw with the spring break and the kids jumping in, there's a huge demand for that kind of programming. But
Right.
we're not a wealthy town. We're not going to be able to afford another $2 million into that budget. But that's
Yeah.
So what we need probably, if you had, I don't know, if I do some napkin math here, let's say there's 10 parks, and each park needs a volunteer committee of 5 to 10 people.
Oh boy.
You need like 50 people to help organize it, or you need like 5 town
What
employees.
we talked about and learned last time is that each park should have a committee already.
We talked
Right?
about
That's
that a
built
little.
into the plan.
But now you're saying like what do we do about the schools? And it's not really what you do about the schools, it's what do you do about what the schools have taken away. The schools have taken away free play.
Right. So man, there's a lot of good stuff there. Interesting topics and things to jump on. I think first, because the kids are going to school anyway, it'd be nice if a lot of that free play happened there. And if, I think a lot of the schools do have a good outdoor space, and just having an extra session outside would be great. Now, that's a harder change, though, right? If we're thinking strong towns, that ain't happening because we got state curriculum that we gotta focus on.
Plus you're on the school grounds, and now you're gonna run into teachers unions and union pay and union employees.
Well, I guess for me, I'm not talking about making the teachers work extra. It's really about reducing some of the curriculum to make time for this, which I know that's an uphill battle.
That's in your lifetime you might be able to make that happen.
My kid's learning about square roots in 2nd grade. I don't think we did that till 5th grade. I'm not saying like it's impressive. I think he could learn that in 5th grade, and we could go outside more though. I think I'm cool with that. Is that crazy?
Do you know square roots? What's the square root of 4?
2. Yeah, I learned it in 5th grade. No, my son could do that right now though. Yeah. And that's great. I'm proud of him. Yeah, I feel like we'd all benefit from more outside time. I'll say that again and again as we sit outside here, being blinded by the sun, but loving every minute of it.
No, I feel that personally. I think about the amount of time I spent on this device, which is my latest organ in my body, and just how much it's just in my head, and when we really need to be outside, away from all that crap, just talking to each other, playing, doing that. And
such a focus is on, the future is this technology, so don't you want to prepare your kids for it? It's like partially, but like if that future is isolation in your phone and your work, then no. Like that's not a future I want to prepare them for. That's not a future I want to live. What I love about my job is that I do get to interact and go and meet all types of people and really get involved, and I love doing that.
I think what's getting lost is reality.
It's interesting. Yes. Well, your reality becomes this screen.
But it's
well, we don't think it is, but for a lot of people it is.
It is.
And I think it is for myself when I catch myself on it for too long. Yes, I understand like what you spend your time and attention doing is your reality.
Okay, we're losing our relationship with natural reality.
Sure. In a huge way.
And the schools contribute to that significantly. Our built environment on the roads where you can't play contributed to it significantly.
Thank you. Can we talk about that real quick?
Sure.
Because that goes along, I think, with this, which is why I'm saying, hey, let's have more playtime at the school, because our outdoor environments where back in our day, we could maybe run over to a friend's house or something. Kids are not really expected or allowed to do that on their own. You can get in trouble for sending your kid a few blocks away. there are threats out there, so that makes sense. In my mind, like, we have technology now. I put a little tracker on him, and he can run up the road now. He's just about to be 8, so I hope I'm okay with that. Doesn't have a phone yet. Holding out as long as I can. Sorry, but streets not being a super safe place, even our road here in this beautiful neighborhood, I was talking to someone and they're like, oh yeah, we gotta cut back all these trees and cut back the bushes to make this road safer for the kids, which is actually pretty, I guess you can approach problems in different ways, but statistically, what happens when you do that is you actually encourage cars to drive faster on that road, right? Because if you imagine you're driving, and you see a straight shot, wide open lanes now, no more encroaching trees, no bushes, no, cars parked on the side. I mean, that's a highway now. And, you actually end up with more fatal accidents on roads like that or streets like that when you do that. So instead, it's actually more beneficial if you want to make safer streets to actually have plantings, have little bump outs, have things that a driver has to be aware of and look, oh, I don't know what's coming around that corner. And you might say, well, that's not safe for the kid because they don't know what's coming around the corner. But it's actually more dangerous if cars are going, 40 to 60 on your road instead of 25. So that's a small piece of that. I wanted to comment on something I saw on Facebook. Mark Scrivenger, our fire chief, posted, I don't think on Willimantic today, but about people cutting through his yard. He was just doing some plantings, and I think it was really cool because private property is huge. I mean, this is the business I'm in. Having your own space that you can do whatever you want to is a really big deal. I encourage everyone to work to get to that level if you can. Renting's fine too. A lot of people are happy doing that. But what he did was really cool in that he was sectioned off a part of his yard, but he also mentioned that he was going to have a pass-through on the side of his house, not right next to his house. He's very, I think, lucky to have a little extra space where he would have a path that people could still cut through there, since historically they've been doing that over and over again. And I think he doesn't need to do that at all. Private property is private property. You don't have to do that. But I think that was really, really community minded, and really cool, because the streets aren't necessarily the safest to walk on. And so having an opportunity for people to have a green space to pass through and share that is kind of huge. And I applaud that 1,000%. I think
creative.
That's so cool. So thank you, Mark. And
Thank you.
Definitely not something people need to do, but I thought that was really community forward.
Fantastic. All right, I think we got to wrap this up.
Yeah, it's way past time.
We did Willimantic today to 8 p.m.
Yeah, we kind of did. So that's the Daily Joe show. Please comment. Let us know your thoughts on things. This was not the biggest ramble we've done.
It was pretty rambling.
It was pretty rambling.
Especially comment on the parts that we cut, unless they're uncut.
What's that? Don't worry about that. So I did want to follow up, though. Part of the Strong Towns movement is recognize the problem, seeing it. Last time on the Daily Joe, I said that we would go clean up Heritage Park. I know Joe went down there to investigate. So thank you for doing that.
And I did this is the rambling show. So I found out that Heritage Park is a privately owned park that, much like Mark Scrivener, is allowing the public to walk through his path that he's going to create. You can essentially think of Heritage Park as the same. It's owned by the Mills.
Wow.
Apartments.
So it's private property.
It's private property
Amazing.
that they allow the public to use. The town has
Thank you.
officially no responsibility for maintaining that place.
Good follow-up. That's really interesting. Wow.
Well,
Keep it clean, people. Keep it clean.
That's what I was told.
Yeah.
I haven't actually seen the contract. I'm tempted to ask for if there's any written documentation on that. but maybe there are others out there that have competing understanding. And definitely reply,
Yeah.
DM, or in the comments is even better.
Let us know what the heck we're talking
All right,
about.
now I really got to go.
I wanted to do one more follow-up.
Oh my God, there's no getting away from you.
We scheduled a Heritage Park cleanup with my business group. So last time we said we would do that.
Oh, nice.
So
Well,
we're going down next Tuesday.
there's going to be nothing to clean. It was very clean when I went down last weekend.
Maybe we'll go somewhere else.
I had a 5-gallon bucket that was there and didn't even have it half full of
Wow.
garbage.
We're going to Lauder. Okay.
There's a little bit of landscaping needed, bittersweet pulled out, and
Oh,
dandelions
okay.
out of the beds.
Okay.
That would be good work.
Thank
Bring a few shovels
you for the
and
advice.
trowels.
I think we're focusing on trash cleanup first. The garden club is amazing.
Yes. I'm a
I
member.
don't want to put that on them completely, but I
All
think
right.
our focus is the ignoramus. I'd hate to pull something that was a beautiful
Yes.
something that's developing. I just, I know what trash looks like and I know how to get rid of it.
I'm going. I got to go.
We're not ending this episode.
Cheers.
Ever. Cheers. See you, everybody.
I bet.